Hello everyone, welcome back. So before we get into today's video, just wanted to remind everyone that I'm still really excited and looking forward to doing a video on the top 10 most masculine fragrances. I'm going to limit it to designer fragrances, I've decided, just to keep my task easier. I've already bought a couple based partly on some of your suggestions, and I just wanted to appeal again, any more suggestions for the most masculine scents in history, designer fragrances for men. So what kind of scents do I mean by that? Well, to put it simply, I mean fragrances that make you feel something like these guys.
Nothing can stand in his way, so you better start to play, because Mr. Smelly is now on his way.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be having a look at my top 10 fragrances for men for the spring of 2018. Last year I did a similar list and I've decided just to clear all those out and do a totally fresh list. However, all of the ones from last year's list were good picks. I'll put the link to that in the description below. But I just decided it's more fun to do a totally fresh list of stuff that's not been in my last spring list. I'm going to do niche and designer and some cheapies in here. So things to suit all price ranges and quite a few different styles of fragrance here. But what are we looking for in spring? Well, a floral type fragrance or some florals in there would be a good thing because the flowers are blooming. We're looking for freshness. We're looking to move away from the heavier, richer scents that we might need in the really cold weather. But we're not perhaps quite ready for the really soapy, transparent ones like Neroli Portofino to be our main choices yet. But there's a lot of choice that we can have in any season, of course, but this is just the ones that maybe conjure up the idea of spring as the best season for me. Okay, so first of all, number 10 is going to be Popeye Au Fresh, or Le Mal Au Fresh from Jean Paul Gaultier. So this was a 2016 release. It's got some neroli in it. There's mint in this one, very importantly. There's vanilla, some woodsy notes. I think ambroxan is in there, and there's some tonka. It has this smell that has a little hint of the original Le Mal, but much fresher. And although the bottle and everything looks a bit trivial and silly, it's now you can get it from 2017. They did it with the Superman, and I think there's a new version 2018. They all smell the same. There's just different packaging. The smell that you get from this one is clean cotton sheets with a little bit of mint and a slightly sweet, almost bubblegum-esque tinge. Now that might not sound like a good thing, but it really works. It's very fresh, it's very clean, it's a safe work scent, but it's got a little bit of something quite interesting and different for me, and I really enjoy reaching for this one quite often. So Le Mal Popeye Au Fresh, or any version of Le Mal Au Fresh that you can get, definitely highly recommended by me because prices can get really low for that one on discounters. Performs okay, not amazing, but it's not bad. Okay, moving on then. At number 9, I'm going to do a tie between two Creed clones. First of all, Ragbar for Man from the house of Lattafa, great clone of Creed's Green Irish Tweed. This one performs rather well, lasts very well indeed, and in the first couple of hours, great projection I get from this one. It doesn't quite have the magic of the green grassy lemon verbena opening of the original Creed fragrance, or maybe that magic of the ambergris in the base, but it has 90% of the same smell. Dihydromercenol is a key note, giving this kind of clean, crisp, woody, slightly sweet aura about the scents that contain it, and there are many of them. And this one really captures that kind of lavender, woody, sandalwood thing mixed in with a hint of peppermint. Really, really nice, fresh, masculine scent, and a great alternative, very similar to Creed's Green Irish Tweed. Très Nuit from Armaf or Estriara Stag Black both smell the same to me. £12 or something for 100 mils. Great prices and highly recommended. The other one, my favourite Creed Aventus clone, is La Venture from the house of HARAMAIN, or at least my favourite inexpensive one. This one smells very similar to Aventus, bergamot, pineapple, smoky birchwood, a kind of woody base in this one, and a little bit of florals. I think there's jasmine and things in Aventus that we sometimes forget. A little bit of sweetness, there's vanilla in there too, but it's a very light, fresh kind of smell in the opening. It sticks around really well. It's very masculine, it's crisp and it's clean, just like the real thing, Creed Aventus. Doesn't quite smell as good in the opening, but as time goes by, you really will struggle to tell them apart. Performance, very good for me on this one. I prefer the smell to Club de Nuit Intense Man. Pineapple Vintage and all its variations are also really good, but they do cost a bit more. Okay, so that was number 9. Moving on to number 8 then, we're going to go with Habit Rouge from the house of Guerlain, the 1965 release, an absolute classic fragrance from Guerlain. And this one is one of the real definitive Oriental fragrances of all time. Oriental fragrances have vanilla and some other supporting notes, giving them a twist of exoticism, really, hence why they're called Oriental. Now, this one has really nice melange of citrus notes in the opening, a certain green kind of bitterness, and this very nice vanilla, benzoin, ambery kind of mix in there as well. Really classy and elegant, but not in the same way as some old 50s colognes that are sort of very citrusy and herbal. This one has the sweetness of the vanilla in there, giving a really, really unique effect, and that classy Guerlainade or Guerlainade fragrance that is a real base in a lot of their fragrances. I think it's in this one. Classy, elegant, citrus mixed with a bit of green bitterness and sweetness, powdery as well. Brilliant, elegant, fresh, but with depth, which is kind of what you want in spring. So that was a great choice. And again, prices can be really low if you hunt around. Performance, good on that one. Good to very good. Okay, moving on then. We're going to go with another discontinued, the first discontinued fragrance in my list. There's another one coming soon. This is INSENSE from Givenchy. Unfortunately for me, I only have the aftershave, but it's performing well. It lasts quite well for me. It's at least average, if not quite good in performance, this aftershave. And I've got a decant to spray. There's the box. One of the classic floral fragrances for men of all time. Not a huge commercial success, which is maybe why it wasn't around for that long. But if you can get it, it really is good stuff. So this one's got some Lily of the Valley in it. It's got blackcurrant listed as a note. So there's a little bit of a sweetness in there. And there's also iris and magnolia listed as some of those floral notes. Really, if I want to describe this, it reminds me of the smell of blossom, or at least the feeling I get when fresh blossom is in the air. So that's perfect for spring. Very unisex smelling, but I think men can wear this no problem. There is a bit of woodiness or something in there. It kind of just leans masculine enough to say, yeah, it's a man's fragrance. Real classic, and absolutely it feels like a spring day in a bottle. Givenchy INSENSE from 1993. Next up, GINEPRO de Sardegna from the house of ACQUA de PARMA. Juniper from Sardinia, the name means. It's from the Blue Mediterraneo line. Performance on this one, again, good. I'm really tried to get ones that do seem to stick around and give us a little bit of decent performance. Maybe Popeye Fresh, just average in performance. The rest, pretty darn good, actually. So zingy freshness from the juniper, nutmeg, black pepper, and some cedarwood, it's got this kind of spicy woodiness as well as this zingy fresh feel. A little bit of citrus in the opening, but it's not predominantly just a citrus scent. Spicy, woody, masculine, fresh, zingy, bit of a gin and tonic feel mixed with some spicy woodiness. Absolutely great. Good performer, gets you noticed, and smells unique. One of the best from the Blue Mediterraneo line from ACQUA de PARMA. Next up, it's going to be Milano CENTO HOMME, a classic barbershop scent, first released in 1989 but recently re-released. Great prices on this one, around about £50 for 100ml. You can get a 50ml bottle as well, even cheaper. Herbaceous elements, there's some clove and cinnamon in the mid, opens up with fresh burst of citrus, and I think there's petitgrain in there, and in the base there's amber. There's a little bit of depth, I think maybe sandalwood, so certainly a woodiness in the base. Great alternative to things like Rive Gauche pour Homme. If you're looking for a barbershop style scent, or Penhaligon's Sartorial, absolutely up there with them in smell and quality, but has a little bit of a different character of its own. Definitely fresh, but spring-like because it's got this airy feel about it. It conjures up to me the feeling of a lovely fresh spring afternoon in the Italian countryside, or maybe walking around the streets of Milan. So really great scent from a British house, but it's called Milano CENTO HOMME. Okay, moving on. My next pick. This is hard to find. It's going to be Dolce & Gabbana by Man from 1997. This one has a really good sandalwood note in it. It's spicy as well. It's got nutmeg. and there's a lot of lavender in this one. Some people say it's a barbershop scent, and it kind of is to me, but not like Brut, not like Rive Gauche. It's more like if you think Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Mal is a barbershop scent, and they both have Artemisia, also known as wormwood, in them. It's that kind of sweet, little bit spicy kind of barbershop feel, and I really, really enjoy this one. Powdery, woody, quite sweet, a little bit of freshness. Some people say they get neroli or some other citrus in the beginning, but they're not listed. Performs really well. It is a little bit synthetic smelling overall, so don't think that this is the holy grail of fragrances, but it is good, and if you can pick it up for a not ridiculous price, well worth looking out for. And with that mixture of the kind of woody spiciness but a manly freshness, I think this does, I think there's quite a lot of florals actually going on in there. Again, that spring blossom thing is just kind of there in the background of my mind when I smell By Man from Dolce & Gabbana, and I love that rather playful bottle design. So that's definitely worthy of a place in my list. Speaking of which, what's next? Well, it's going to be Royal Mayfair from the House of Creed. A surprise choice for spring maybe, because most people go for green Irish tweed, but Royal Mayfair to me conjures up the image of a lovely spring evening when you're in an optimistic mood. I remember feeling optimistic once. I think it was back in about 1996. It lasted a couple of hours, and then my hopes were dashed, and I was quite relieved to fall back into my comfort zone of jaded cynicism, and I've been there ever since. It's got lime in it, and it's got gin. There's rose, and there's eucalyptus as well, and cedar. So it comes off a little bit medicinal in the opening, and that's what puts many people off. But once you get used to it and give it a chance, it's a really thought-provoking and complex scent, but it's very fresh. It's certainly got some florals, the rosy thing, and it's got this kind of dandified gentleman air about it. And this hint of the gin note. You can sort of sense that you're dressed up nicely. It's a spring evening. You've got a fresh gin and tonic, and you smell like this, and you really smell good because it performs good, well, not amazingly well, but in a nice, understated, not in your face, but lasting really well, and just gives subtle wafts throughout the day and lasts for many, many hours. A really nice and unique fragrance. One of the best, actually, if you're looking for something a bit different from Creed and you just don't want the obvious, really fresh ones. I think this is underrated. Royal Mayfair, and perfect for the season of spring. Royal Mayfair from Creed. Okay, so I think we're down to the last two already, aren't we? So let's have a look. This runner-up, the order doesn't matter that much, but Chanel Pour Monsieur I'm putting in my list this year. So a classic one from Henry Robert from 1955, a Chypre fragrance, kind of a citrus cologne stroke Chypre. It's a very fresh, zingy lemon sherbet type of opening. Bergamot, the usual notes you get in so many of these in the opening. In the mid though, there's quite a lot of spices. Coriander and cardamom are listed in the notes. There's definitely lavender as well, and we've got some oak moss originally in the formula. How they've somehow replicated that feel, we hope, to some extent in the modern version where you can't really use real oak moss. I've got a vintage one too. There's not a huge, there's a difference, but I'm hard pressed to put my finger on it, and my old one maybe is showing the signs of its age, so I think you might be better just to go and get the brand new modern version. It isn't the best performer, it's just about okay, so I guess this is the other one that isn't a great performer, but the smell's so good I just forgive it. Really classic, refined, elegant, slightly retro feel, but it's just, it is timeless. There's nothing weird or animalic like Coros or some of the other old fragrances, or Chanel's Antaeus. It's really elegant and refined, classy and timeless, and you don't have to go with Bleu de Chanel, which is a nice fragrance. You can try something a little bit more unique if you want. That Chanel Pour Monsieur from 1955 would be a great choice. So my number one pick, my absolute favourite for spring this year, I think it's got to be Houbigant's Cologne Intense. Amazing bottle. This one, a 2015 release. So Cologne Intense from the House of Houbigant is basically a twist on the citrus cologne style. It does have the typical petitgrain, bergamot, neroli opening. Really, really nicely done though. It reminds me a little bit of Dior's Eau Sauvage, quite a lot actually, certainly in the opening. There's got a little bit of a twist in there because there's lavender, and there's incense, and there's tarragon and jasmine and mate tea. So some slightly unusual notes, certainly the mate tea, you don't hear that one used, and the incense just give it this little twist of something slightly exotic and a little bit of a different kind of depth in this fragrance. So there's some patchouli in there as well. Really, really nice, airy, soft, little bit sweet, citrusy feel with this one, and if you like a little bit of subtle incense in your fragrances, this could be a great choice. So for me, perfect for a spring day or evening. Really classy, refined scent, eau de parfum, performs really well for me, lasts well, and I get a good sillage bubble from this one. So that's my number one pick. You have to love that bottle as well. Cologne Intense from the house of HOUBIGANT. Let me know what you thought of my choices for spring 2018. Please let me know what fragrances you are looking forward to wearing or maybe hoping to buy for the upcoming spring season. So the flowers are blooming, and hopefully your life will be blooming too if you wear some of these fragrances. Thanks for watching the video. It was fun sharing these with you, and as ever, remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.